Hello everyone, welcome back to Tech Talks at Tech Projects, our in-house podcast series where we bring in our leaders, innovators and experts to provide their valuable insight and experiences. This is Koushik and we have Ruby with us today. Ruby, after your brief introduction, we can jump into the questions.
Sure. Thank you, Koushik, for this opportunity. And I am Rubellah Rajakumar, go by the name Ruby. I've been working in CNS for little over 11 years now, and I've always been part of the supply chain application group. I currently manage the supply chain planning and demand planning teams.
Awesome. And welcome once again to our GCC.
I am very excited to be here. Thank you for having me here.
Yeah, so because you're from the supply chain background and all, right? So I'll start off with an easy question.
Sure.
A lot of people have a lot of thoughts around the supply chain and demand planning, right?
Right.
What is that one misconception that people generally have?
I want to say that most people think that forecasting is just about coming up with some numbers and may not necessarily understand the significance of it. Like I had mentioned in the town hall yesterday, every forecast represents a decision related to inventory or procurement and customer service, about managing uncertainties and eventually the financial performance itself. So it is not just about math or statistics or data for that matter. It is more on, it has equal importance on the business judgment and the collaboration aspect, both with, internal stakeholders as well as external partners like customers. So coming up with a forecast is a very collaborative process if you think about it. And many people may not know that. And another misconception that I can think of is where people assume that we want to get an accurate forecast. So, I think effective planning is not about chasing that elusive 100% forecast accuracy, because in reality, it's not possible.
It's not possible.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it is more on, coming up with a supply chain agility and strategy that can account for managing uncertainties and sudden market disruptions and things of that nature. So that's where the effective planning comes in, rather than coming up with that forecast accuracy metric being 100% or whatever the.
So generally, people always focus on that 100%, and
people might think that you're expected to get that 100%, but that's not truly the case. So that's what I'm trying to drive.
Okay. So from day one, you started and the IT. From the day one, you started the IT and all, right? So was there any moment in your life that made you think differently about technology?
Yes. So earlier in my career, I started off as a software engineer. So coding all day long, really, without necessarily understanding how is that impacting anything in the real world, to be honest with you. But also that was the time I started my executive MBA in logistics and supply chain. And during that program, I got to meet and interact with a lot of industry leaders and experts, where they were sharing, real world business problems and practical solutions. And what I realized was those solutions are kind of sustainable and scalable only when technology is backing it. So and that's when I realized, okay, so technology is kind of an enabler of business strategy, and in itself may not hold a lot of value unless it's really employed in the correct context to solve a business need. So that is when I made that sort of connection, and that was also the time I was kind of entering into the enterprise system space, and that helped me shift my focus from just implementing systems to making sure I understand the business outcome those systems are meant to achieve.
Got it. Yeah. I always see you involving a lot on the business side as well.
That's right.
That's why I think you were driving your team far better.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So after you started managing a team, right, either offshore or on-site, anywhere across the globe. So what is more satisfying to you? Solving a complex problem or seeing that the team successfully solve the problem together?
I would say, solving a complex business problem is always exciting for me. However, as a team leader, I think the real satisfaction for me comes from knowing that the problem is complex, yes, but the solution is also not so complex that people don't understand and adopt it. Right? Because at the end of the day, a technology or application by itself is meaningful only when people are embracing it and adopting and using it, and that's how it gets to be scalable. So I would definitely vote for the latter when it comes to the satisfaction part. Yeah,
Satisfaction part. Yeah. So you want the team to adopt themselves, to the problem solving
that's
technique,
correct.
working together and all.
That's right, because we do brainstorm ideas. It's not just me coming up with a solution, and trying to assess if even if I were to come up with a solution by myself, is to assess and see is that the best way moving forward, right? So that's why we have a team of diverse minds to make sure that we brainstorm and come up with the correct path moving forward, and also make sure that the stakeholders are kind of aligned to it. But it's no point in just us making a decision and thrusting something onto the business. So it's definitely a lot of collaboration there, and then iterative process.
Thank you. So if I were to shadow you for a day, right?
Yeah,
What would surprise me?
that's a good question. I think you might be surprised when you realize only a small portion of my day is actually spent on technology, as in querying data, or checking or reviewing code, program logic, and things of that nature, or even answering data specific or application specific questions. Most of my time, in fact, is occupied in interacting with business partners
Okay.
to assess any business process changes and to see how technology can help, and also collaborating with IT leaders and business leaders to make sure we understand what our current challenges are, and to align on priorities and to discuss new opportunities. And all this will eventually help in making the teams work more effectively when
Got
we
it.
make
Yeah.
that sort of informed
Inform.
decisions. So that's where most of my time is being spent, so you might be surprised about it.
Yeah, I like to interact more with business folks, understanding the business,
That's correct.
giving them better solutions is
That is
always
correct.
what I like to.
That is true. That is true.
That's more important for any growth perspective.
Definitely, I agree.
So, with a lot of AI in place right now, so how do you see AI's impact on supply chain and demand planning?
I think supply chain in itself has, I'm sure, multitude of use cases where we can employ AI to make it more efficient, make it more responsive, right? And since I work on the demand planning and forecasting side of things, um, we have been using machine learning in some of our systems for many years now, and it's obviously time now to employ AI to make it more what to say, efficient and productive, not only for the IT resources but also for the users, and to make it more intuitive. Right, that's
Yep.
the key word. And I know that the business, that is the procurement and demand planning leadership, have come up with exciting set of AI use cases, and they are working very closely with the AI governance team to make sure they discuss these use cases and prioritize them so we can take it forward. I think the key areas of focus will definitely be about promotional planning, cross buy, and perhaps demand planning consensus review with the different stakeholders. So that is something that will be very beneficial to employ AI.
So, with respect to adoption of AI, what percentage are we at?
I think there are places where we have started it. It's not definitely a very high percentage as of now, but I'm very confident we are going to get there very soon, because we do have now that the AI governance team has been formalized, and they are interacting more with the business and also the functional teams. I'm sure we are going to get there very soon.
Very soon?
Yep.
Hopefully.
Yes.
I know that you visited GCC here, you interacted with team here, and you have seen the entire floor, right? So, for the team here, how do you think that they can deliver a value to business?
So the GCC team is very integral part of our success, because most of my team members are from GCC team, and I've been working with them for years. So I'm definitely excited to see them in person this time, and it's been a good experience for me. So they not only bring the technical expertise, but also given the pace in which we do our work, right, with multiple projects and initiatives at the same time, they definitely help in accelerating the delivery while maintaining the quality of work and operational excellence. And we work as one team, right, as part of our CNS values. So that is what we tend to achieve with GCC team as well, because that's how we are able to get to the final goal of delivering business value. So it is just their willingness to learn and willingness to help, not just my team, but pretty much anyone I reach out to in GCC, including the GCC leadership like yourself, always willing to help and willing to understand the urgency of the request or the criticality, right? And then stepping up to the plate to do it. So that is definitely much appreciated. And we would not be, at least on my team, would not be able to do what we do without the support that I get from GCC team.
Thank you so much for your kind words.
No worries. Thank you.
So, looking ahead in your career and with the way the world is evolving and all, right? So, what are you curious about with respect to technologies and the analytics part?
So I think I am definitely curious about a lot of things, but what I am looking forward to seeing how it's going to unfold is how AI is going to evolve from providing insights to becoming a true decision-making partner. Where, apart from generating data and insights, going to the next step to guide people in a very trustworthy and transparent manner to make informed decisions, and also to assess how good those decisions were, right, with its assistance, like how did it do, and that would definitely help it make like scalable in the future. So that is something I'm definitely curious to see how it's going to pan out.
Do you have any plans, like any futuristic plans you have with respect to demand planning and forecasting?
Oh, there are many. Like I said, those initiatives, like I spoke about, it's quite a big list. But I think I don't want to necessarily say a low hanging fruit because it's not necessarily easy. But what would be a good win would be definitely to streamline some of our promotional planning processes, especially with respect to, say, missing promotions. Because when we do not have visibility to our customer promotion sometimes in our systems, that definitely contributes to lost opportunity in serving our customers the way we want to serve them. So I think with the use of AI, we would be able to detect what's missing and then have it be generated, of course, with having that human in the loop, because at the end of the day we do need planners to eyeball if everything is fine. But that will definitely, I think, help us in streamlining the process and making sure that the promotional planning piece is more reliable and effective.
Got it. Thank you. So, with respect to demand planning and forecasting, did we learn anything from COVID?
Yeah, I think it was. I don't even remember now, but I know that we had major gaps in history or surges in history, because when I say history, because of the sales, that anomalies, right, it would typically catch them as an outlier because of sudden surges in toilet papers or kitchen towels or whatever it is that people were running to get at that point. So we definitely had to put in a lot of hours to clean the history after the fact, that is in 2021 and so on, because we didn't want the engine to rely on such a skewed history. So we definitely had to put in a lot of hours to make it look right. But during COVID, there was just everyone staying up to make sure that it's being checked once, twice, and multiple times to make sure that the demand is looking as reasonable as possible. But again, we were prepared as much as we were, I guess. But then that was a sudden change for everyone, and then the system could catch up to whatever it could. But then there was a lot of planner interaction and user overriding the forecast as needed to make sure that the demand signals were reasonable for that point in time.
So, if we were to be in a situation like that again, how prepared are we?
That's a great question. I think now with the Relax, right, and with some of the sophisticated analytics that it has, we are better prepared, I would say, than how we were 6 years ago. And also, we have also kind of implemented so many other different systems now around Relax that can capture those kind of nuances. So I would definitely say we are better prepared, but will again still involve the demand planning team to be, vigilant. about such variations.
Okay. But currently, do we have a system that will look around, scan for the news around, and give us like any alerts
Not at
or
this
any
point.
suggestions?
Not at this point, but it's definitely something that's being explored as an idea, but not at this point. We don't have that implemented as of now.
Okay. Yeah. And thanks again, Ruby. Thanks a lot, for making time to visit us, staying away from your family, leaving your kids back at home, traveling across the globe to see us. It means a lot to us. So thanks again. Thanks a lot.
Appreciate you facilitating this for me, because I've always wanted to see the GCC office and also
Mhm.
meet the team members. So I'm really glad that it has happened, and I really thank yourself and an entire GCC leadership team for making this happen. Thank you.
Thank you.